Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stadium Drive Week 8. Will Ford and Aaron Sprague here at Upper Arlington High School in the OCC Central tonight, taking a trip up to Columbus, and we have the Upper Arlington Golden Bears and the Olentangy Orange Pioneers. Aaron, it's really nice we've been doing a ton of NVL games this year. We did the IVC last week, which was great. Now we get to branch out into the OCC and Columbus area schools. It's really good to kind of diversify and show fans another area that we cover. And this is going to be an exciting game tonight because both teams are 4-3. It's really pivotal in the OCC. Both teams are jockeying for playoff position. Upper Arlington's lost their last two. Olentangy Orange has won 3 in a row. Huge game.
Absolutely, and it's great to be here in Upper Arlington, just a stone's throw away from the campus at The Ohio State University. Definitely a unique setup here in Upper Arlington and everything the Golden Bears do. Last week we were at a small school rivalry, right? It was Indian Valley, Garaway. This is the big boys, Division I, Upper Arlington, Division I, Olentangy Orange. And like you said, Olentangy riding a 3-game win streak. Upper Arlington, a rare 2-game losing skid.
Yes.
And both currently 0-2 in their conference. Now, for those not familiar, the OCC is a very large conference, the Ohio Capital Conference, currently in 5 divisions. And this matchup tonight is out of the Central Division, which our guy, Sean Fisher, who does all of our scheduling and all the kind of the data, he seems to believe this is the toughest of the OCC divisions, a real gauntlet with the teams we have in the division, like a Davidson and a Kaufman. Who else do we have in the conference?
Liberty as well. Liberty's 1-1, Kaufman's 1-1, UA's 0-2, Davidson 0-2. Orange and Bradley are both 2-0 in the OCC, right. So it's very tough. I would probably agree with him. But it's just such good competition in the OCC.
Right. No, it's great here to be here week 8 already. So tonight, then 2 more in the regular season, and definitely the contenders and the pretenders starting to separate. League titles are going to be starting to get wrapped up.
Yes.
Next week we can already tell you we'll be at the Sheridan Tri-Valley matchup in Thornville.
Yep.
That MVL title matchup will be next week essentially. But tonight, again, just being in Columbus, football in Columbus, Ohio is kind of a big deal.
It's a little bit different of an atmosphere. There's a little bit more juice surrounding it.
Well, at least the juice just being so close to campus.
Right.
I will say,
think that's what it is.
There's nothing better than small town football, that's for sure, in the Muskingum Valley League, a whole different crowd. But you could see the stands behind us. Will, if you switch cameras to show them the home stands here at the Marv, you could see how big the home stands are. This redid the stadium a couple years ago, and you could see the seating. Now, it does get pretty full. The student sections in the OCC are pretty huge, most games, especially for the home team. So definitely a great renovated stadium, brand new high school here at Upper Arlington. And really, UA has a proud tradition of football, but Coach Buttermore has really helped get that continued in the right direction.
Yes.
2 years ago, this is his 4th season here, Will. In his 2nd season, so in 2021, they made the state semifinal 14-1.
Yes.
And knocked off Pickerington Central in the regional final. So he's had nothing but success here. And, of course, Zeb Schroeder on the other side got to Orange in 2014, and they have a great program. And it is a gauntlet.
Oh, my God.
We were talking about just a couple years ago, I swear, Olentangy Orange was the best 1-9 team 2 years ago. They were 1-9, and you look, geez, that was disappointing. And, of course, you want to win more games, but, man, they had a ton of close games, and they were a tough out every game. It's just every night you play, you never know what's going to happen, despite how good you may or may not be.
Well, and that's kind of been the story for Olentangy Orange this year. A lot of close games. 5 of the 7 games they've played this year have all been decided by 7 points or less. And those are always go-either-way games. It's just a kind of a flip of a coin sometimes, and the luck sometimes goes your way and sometimes it doesn't. But they've been winners of 3 straight, and it seems like they're back on the right track. And Upper Arlington, their last 2 games have been decided by 5 points total. A 3-point loss in overtime to Liberty last week, and then a 2-point loss the week before. So close losses for them, and those games just kind of come down to 1 or 2 plays, and sometimes it is what it is. It's just a gauntlet.
Yeah, that was great to point out the way UA, even though they lost the last 2 weeks, they were close in both of those matchups. They always seem to find a way. And for those back in the Muskingum County area, you're familiar with Justin Buttermore and the teams he puts on the field, very defensive-minded. They're always prepared. He led Tri-Valley to that state runner-up finish in 2017. He's had nothing but success from there to Granville, and now here at Upper Arlington. Another team having a lot of success, and a coach you talked to today in our stadium drive is Tennyson Varney.
Yes.
Hamilton Township Rangers over in the Mid-State League, undefeated, best start in school history.
Yeah, and they've only won 4 playoff games in the program's history, and they did. And actually, in Tennyson Varney's first year as the head coach, they won a playoff game in taking over during COVID is obviously very challenging. Everybody made the playoffs that year, but he was able to win a playoff game. And then a couple up and down years, but now, like you said, I mean, it's the best start in school history, and they are just blowing out team after team after team that they play. They're outscoring opponents by just such a wide margin, and they're taking on Liberty Union tonight. They're 0-7, but he's not looking past them at all because he knows that they play very hard, and you're going to see that in an interview. He talks about their team, how hard that they play, and they're still a tough team to prepare for because of how hard they play. But he's really excited about the guys that he has on offense, just putting up so many points. It was great to talk to him about the historic season to this point, but he knows that his team's not done. So,
and Hamilton Township, another team we cover, again, out of the Mid-State League there. Another team we cover in Central Ohio, up in the Northeast Ohio, of course, and Southeast Ohio. So we wanted to try to bounce around, and this week was the perfect opportunity to get to the capital city of Ohio and check out a big Division I matchup in the OCC. If you're watching right now live, please share for us.
Yes, please.
Share it on whatever platform you're on, Twitter or X, Facebook, and YouTube. Give us a share. The idea for Stadium Drive is that you watch this on your drive to the stadium.
Yep.
And get a little amped up for the football tonight. So if you would give us a share. And don't forget, our sponsor tonight, MaxEffortMuscle.com, best tasting protein on the planet. This happens to be banana cream pie, but there's a lot of flavors as well. And, of course, we have your Amino Recovery. This kind of replaces your Gatorade, keeps you nice and hydrated throughout. So a lot of product there, maxeffortmuscle.com. Check them out. We also have a lot of T-shirts to give out to the Golden Bear student section tonight. But, Will, it's going to be an awesome night. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. 4-3. Both teams are tonight, Upper Arlington and Olentangy Orange. We'll get to those interviews with Coach Schroeder and Coach Buttermore in a few minutes, but we want to start with the Hamilton Township Rangers and highlight the season that they've had to this point, this historic season, best start in program history. So here's head coach Tennyson Varney here on Stadium Drive Week 8, and then we'll follow it up. I'll come back, talk to you for a few, and then we'll follow it up with Upper Arlington and Olentangy Orange. But Stadium Drive Week 8 here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, we're here with head coach Tennyson Varney of the Hamilton Township Rangers ahead of Week 8 going up against Liberty Union this week. And Coach, well, first of all, thank you so much for your time joining us on the show this week. I really appreciate you taking the time, talking some football for a few minutes. But 7-0 historic start to the season, and you're outscoring opponents 339 to 119 through 7 weeks, which is just, it's pretty remarkable. But like, how are you doing it? Because like fans watching, they could look at it and be like, oh, it's the offense, it's the defense, but you, the coach of your football team, what's been the story for you and your guys this year as you're 7-0 and on an incredible run right now?
Well, first of all, it's kids, right? Okay. Players make plays, right? That's really what's going on is we have a really, really good group of players who have bought into our system and are learning it, learn a little bit more about it every game. And they're playing their role. We talk about it all the time. When you're scoring like this, there's guys who are going to score a ton. Some guys aren't going to score as many. We always say we don't care who gets the glory, just as long as we're winning, right? And our kids have bought into that, and I think it takes a pretty special group to do that. When you're scoring like that, it's definitely just about your players making plays.
How are you able to get the guys to buy into that? Because obviously it's a process. It takes a couple of years. Like you've been with this program. You were an assistant with this program from 2008 to 2013. Then you had a couple stints elsewhere. Now you come back, and obviously you have a little bit of success early. But then there's COVID and everything, and you're working through all of that. Like how are you able to like slowly but surely build this program into the juggernaut that it is now? You're 7-0, and now you're in prime position to get back to the playoffs and win another play. Like this program's only won 4 playoff games in its history. So get back to the playoffs, win some more playoff games. Like how did you do it over these couple of years, working through all those challenges and getting these guys to buy in?
It's really about relationships and time, right? There's no cheat code, right? There's no way to just fast forward and say, we're just going to skip it all and get to where we need to be. It's like I said, the seniors, I've had them for 4 years. It's the first group that I had as freshmen when I came in. And, just their buy-in, their commitment to wanting to do things right, their love for our community and our school. I mean, it's a very good group of high character individuals. And sometimes as a coach, you get really lucky when you have a group like that in your way. But really when it comes down to it it's trust, relationships, it's the things that matter, right? It's not some saying that's on the wall or anything like that. It's got to have substance to it, you know. So very lucky to be around a group of kids like that and just enjoying every minute of it.
So the last 3 weeks of the season for your team, the last 2 weeks, you face two teams that I believe are currently 6-1 right now. But this week coming up, you have Liberty Union. They're 0-7, and obviously you don't want to kind of fall into this like false sense of security of playing a team that's 0-7 and thinking it's an easy win or anything like that. So what are you doing this week with your guys to get ready for what they do? What do you have to do this week against Liberty Union, whether it's offensively, defensively, to come out of this game with a win, move to 8-0, and just keep this train rolling through the last 3 weeks of this regular season?
Yeah, first of all, when you put on the film of Liberty Union, number one, they're playing very hard. Respectfully, been a very good program throughout the years. Those kids care about their school just like we care about ours. So, we keep telling our kids, just like the past couple of weeks, these guys are going to play hard, right? They care. They're going to come out. They're not going to lay down. They don't care if you've won a few games, if you lost a few. It doesn't matter to them, right? We still have to play them on Friday night, and we've kind of just really talked about all year how like things don't happen by accident, right? You have to physically and mentally prepare to make them happen. And so that's kind of what we've just been focusing on. We're doing our same game prep we've always done. A routine is a routine, and we know that it's high school football, right? These teams aren't far. The margin between winning and losing is so close in high school football that we're doing our best to prepare our kids to understand that this could be a dogfight on Friday night. Going down to Liberty Union, and you can't look past it, right? You have to play. So.
Well, we're really looking forward to the game this Friday, Coach. We really appreciate the time you joining us this week on such short notice. But you've been on an incredible run this year. We've been excited following the team and documenting the journey along the way. But best of luck this Friday, the rest of the way, and go get wins number 4, 5, 6, 7 in the playoffs this year, man. But we really appreciate the time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Tennyson Varney here on Stadium Drive with the Hamilton Township Rangers, 7-0. Historic run this year. Best start in program history. Really appreciate him joining the show this week. And they're on their way to, just a terrific season. They play Liberty Union this evening, who's 0-7 on the year, as we talked about in that interview there. But let's get into this game tonight. Big OCC Central matchup, Upper Arlington Golden Bears and the Olentangy Orange Pioneers. Both teams 4-3. Like we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, and this is just a huge matchup because these teams have been playing in some pretty close games throughout the year. Olentangy Orange has played in 5 one-possession games, 5 games that have been decided by 7 points or less, and that's incredibly tough and taxing on a team. They started the year 1-3, and they've done an incredible job to win their last 3, 2 of them being close ones, and a blowout win last week, and now here they are in a very good position, playing some great football right now. And Levi Davis, their sophomore quarterback, leading the way. Had 3 rushing touchdowns last week, and just playing really well at the quarterback position. He's developed very well. And then their star corner, Trayton Schroeder, has just been playing super well defensively as well. But if you look at Upper Arlington's side, we talked about this. They've lost their last 2 games, and both of those ones have been very close ones, by a combined total of 5 points, an overtime last week to Olentangy Liberty, and then a 2-point loss the week before. Not a whole lot you can do about that. Those games come down to a couple plays, and unfortunately those plays didn't go in Upper Arlington's favor. But when you look at head coach Justin Buttermore, he has just been so successful everywhere he's went. Tri-Valley, and then Granville, now here at UA. And right now his team's just facing a little bit of adversity right now. And in the OCC, it's always a gauntlet. And they've kind of run through that gauntlet over the last couple of years. But these teams are now stepping up to the task. And it's just going to be a really fun and intense battle here this evening. And I'm really looking forward to it. Let's hear from head coach Justin Buttermore about this matchup against Zeb Schroeder and the Orange Pioneers. And he's going to talk about his workhorse, Connor McClellan, his star running back who – he touched the football a lot last week, and although Buttermore wants to get him the ball and loves when he has the ball in his hands, he wants to also be smart and careful about that, and kind of preserve the health of his star running back. But here's head coach Justin Buttermore here on Stadium Drive Week 8, getting you ready for this matchup, talking about also the last couple of weeks of adversity as well, and just playing in some close games, sitting at 4-3, knowing this one is a big one against Olentangy Orange.
All right, we're here with head coach Justin Buttermore of the Upper Arlington Golden Bears ahead of Week 8 as they take on Olentangy Orange. Coach, I really appreciate your time this morning to talk some football. The last 2 games, you've lost by 3 points or less, which obviously it's tough. But you've been in the games that you've lost the last couple of weeks to Hilliard Bradley and Olentangy Liberty, and 5 points is kind of the difference between, I guess, 6-1 and 4-3. But like, how are you relaying a positive message to your team that, like, even though we lost those games, we were in those games, we had a great opportunity to win them, and we have a great opportunity the last 3 weeks of the year against Olentangy Orange, and then your last 2 games of the season to finish the year strong, even though you've just had some tough battles the last couple weeks?
Yeah, it has been tough. I mean, we're obviously used to winning, and anytime you drop 2 straight, it's difficult. And the next 3 are every bit as hard or more difficult in the last 2 weeks. So it's been a difficult stretch, but we play great teams, and we've tried to tell the kids. I mean, the bottom line is we've made some really uncharacteristic mistakes, not just the last 2 weeks, but throughout the year. We have not been able to finish drives. We haven't been able to finish quarters or halves or even games. We've had some opportunities to make plays to win games, and we haven't been able to do that. So, I mean, the message is that you got to clean up the little things. We're having far too many penalties and turnovers. We've given up big plays, which is something we normally don't do. So, I've talked to the kids about handling adversity. I mean, this is one of those times that you got to put your head down and just keep working hard. You got to find a way to finish games. You got to find a way to finish drives. You got to find a way to just make plays to win the game when you have opportunities. So that's been the message, to go out and get better during the week and finish plays in practice so that you are ready when the time comes in the game.
Right. Now, Connor McClellan's kind of been your workhorse this year. He had over 30 carries last week, 157 yards, a touchdown. He's been doing that all year long for you. How much will you rely on him these last couple games of the year? And obviously it's going to depend on the game flow against the opponents you play as well. But, I mean, it seems like he's the focal point of your offense, and then the pass is kind of supplemental to what he does for you. Is that the case? Are you going to rely on him this game against Olentangy Orange and then the rest of the way?
Well, there's no doubt we want to get the run game going. That's something we weren't able to do really early in the year, and except for maybe the big Walnut game. Last week, he got 36 carries. Quite honestly, that wasn't the plan. We don't want to give a guy 36 carries just for the sake of his own health and the freshness of the back. We'd like to be able to kind of mix those carries up a little bit more. But last week just kind of dictated that we do it. We were able to control the clock and control the ball. Like I said, we just didn't finish drives inside the red zone. We had the ball at the 1 yard line a couple different times that would have ended the game, or would have changed the outcome of the game at the end. But Connor's certainly a guy that we want to get carries to and be able to mix in. We always want to be a downhill run team and mix in some obviously quick, high percentage throws and a few shot plays. But we'd like to mix the carries up a little more.
Right. Now, Olentangy Orange is kind of in a similar boat as you, as just far as like playing close games this year. 5 of their first 7 games, they were decided by 7 points or fewer, and they started 1-3. Now they've won 3-0. So this game between you and them, it's kind of, it's big because both of you are 4-3, and 5-3 obviously looks a lot better than 4-4 as you enter the last 2 weeks of the year. But I mean, what are you going to do to prepare for them? Because obviously you're looking to get back into the win column. You've played in some pretty close games, and Olentangy Orange has won some close games recently. Like, what are you looking forward to in that matchup with Olentangy Orange, Coach Schroeder, and what those guys do up there?
Well, they're playing really, really well. Like you said, they lost some close games early. They are playing. They look like a completely different team in their recent games. Last week against Kaufman, they were outstanding, and it's a really team-oriented approach. But their quarterback makes it go. Their quarterback is only a sophomore. He started against us last year as a freshman, but he's a kid that already has scholarship offers. He's a tremendous athlete. He's throwing the ball extremely well. But I think the addition of adding him into the run game has really made them difficult to defend. He's got really great speed. He's very elusive. And like I said, you mix that in with a couple of good running backs and a couple of good receivers and O-line, and it's just difficult. It's difficult to defend them. So, we've got to be sound. We've got to prevent big plays. We got to keep him in front of us and inside of us, and try to rally to the ball, because they really mix up what they do. They attack the whole width of the field and depth of the field, and so we've got to be really, really good defensively to get them off the field and prevent big plays.
Now, how about offensively? Because Trayton Schroeder, their corner, he had 2 picks last week, and he has 6 picks on the year. He's just been making tremendous plays all year in the secondary for the Pioneers. I mean, how are you going to attack him? Obviously you trust your guys. Obviously, all coaches do. But are you not going to shy away from that matchup? Are you going to go away from him? Maybe? Are you going to mix it up? Like, how do you attack a guy who is just got such good instincts for getting the football and just making plays for the defense for Olentangy Orange?
Yeah, and we're going to run our offense, but certainly you don't take risky shots at a guy that picks the ball up. I mean, you don't want to throw the ball up in situations where a guy has great ball skills and obviously has shown that he can make plays. So, their defense has, like I said, played very, very well also. They have not given up big plays. They rally to the football well. They're physical. So, we're gonna mix the run and pass like we always do. But we're not going to take any unnecessary shots at him.
That's fair, yeah. But Coach, I really appreciate your time today, this morning, talking some football ahead of Week 8. Best of luck this Friday. We're going to be there at the game, and we're really excited to watch. But go get the 5-3, man, and get back to the playoffs and make some noise.
All right, I appreciate it.
So Justin Buttermore here on Stadium Drive, and just such a successful coach. And 31-12 in his tenure with the Golden Bears. And here is his star running back, Connor McClellan. Last week, 36 carries, 157 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown in that 19-16 loss at Olentangy Liberty, and a close one. And you heard Coach Buttermore talk about it. Ideally, you want your playmaker to have the football in his hands, but you don't want to feed him, so much that you're putting, just his stamina and his health in jeopardy. Running backs take such a beating. Other than offensive and defensive linemen, running backs get hit the most. And so he had to rely on his playmaker last week in a close game and a close loss. But obviously, he's a focal point of the offense. But they're going to try to be a little bit more balanced if they can, so that way they can save the legs of Connor McClellan as they approach this game tonight against the Olentangy Orange, and then the final 2 weeks of the year as well, and just trying to preserve his legs and just keep him healthy as they approach the playoffs if they can win out here in the last few weeks of the season. But we're also going to talk about the Olentangy Orange side tonight as well, because they've just been playing such great football at the moment. They were 1-3 to start the year, and usually when you start a year that far behind the 8 ball, it's hard to get yourself back. And they've done an incredible job. They've played in so many close games, and those games, it's just a flip of a coin a lot of times. You either win them or you lose them, and it comes down to 1 or 2 plays. And the last few weeks, those plays have went their way, and now they find themselves at 4-3, winners of 3 straight, and now that they're riding a lot of positive momentum coming in against this Upper Arlington team. And I do really think that Trayton Schroeder is kind of the X factor tonight for on the defensive side for the Pioneers. He had 2 interceptions last week, and he's got 6 picks on the season, and he's only played in 5 games. He missed 2 games earlier this year. Have 6 picks in 5 games and just have that much of a nose for the football. It's just incredible, and I'm just really excited to watch this matchup tonight. The energy, MVL football and IVC football, obviously there's tons of energy wherever you go for high school football, but like being so close to Ohio State and just this energy, this atmosphere here in Columbus this evening, it's pretty special. And I think what makes it even more special tonight is that both of these teams are jockeying for position in the playoff race in the OCC Central. Both teams 4-3, and listen, 5-3 looks a whole lot better than 4-4 as you approach weeks 9 and 10 of the season. So it's really exciting. But here is head coach Zeb Schroeder of the Olentangy Orange Pioneers talking about his quarterback Levi Davis, how he is just he's played super well on the offensive side this year, his sophomore quarterback. Talking about Schroeder as well, and just his instincts as a corner. But then, even though Upper Arlington has lost the last couple of games, they're still immensely talented, and they have one of the most successful coaches ever just getting ready for this game tonight. So like it's just an incredible matchup, and I'm going to let Zeb Schroeder talk about the last few weeks of the season for his team. Starting 1-3, and how his team's battled back, and how he's getting ready for Justin Buttermore and this Golden Bear squad tonight. That they lost the last two, but they're still immensely talented, still really good, and tough to prepare for. So here is head coach Zeb Schroeder, Stadium Drive.
All right, we're here with Zeb Schroeder ahead of Week 8 with Olentangy Orange High School as they're getting ready to take on Upper Arlington. And Coach, I really appreciate your time this week getting ready for UA. And you defeated Dublin Kaufman last week, 35-14. That's the first win you've had against their program in 4 years. So what was it like, energy in the locker room after that game to get a win against them for the first time in a few years? But now you're also 4-3. You're on a roll. You started the year 1-3, and so now 3 wins in a row, 4-3. Like, what's the energy like after that win, but now also just being 4-3 and playing pretty well right now?
Yeah, I mean, when you play in our conference and in the schedule we play, like, you cherish every single win you get, because you're playing against really good kids, really good coaches. So they all mean a lot to us, right? And so I was just really proud of our kids. We had some bumps in the road early in the season, lost some close games, dealt with some injuries, and they really showed some resilience of continue to stay positive and get better. I'm just really proud of how they've responded to the start of the year.
Yeah, so I guess what goes in, what do you tell your team after you start 1-3 and you have those close games, like you said? Because 5 of the first 7 games this year for you, they've been decided by 7 points or less, and that's obviously those are go either way games, and those are sometimes the toughest ones to lose because you feel like you have a chance up until the very end. How did you keep your guys with it, even though they were losing a couple of those close games early? Now you find yourself at 4-3, and now a chance to be at 5-3 this week, and obviously that has to feel pretty good, considering how the year started.
Yeah, I think there's no bigger attention getter than not getting something you want, right? So when we come on the bad end of the scoreboard, I feel like everybody has a little bit more of attention to, okay, why didn't we get the job done, and how do we fix that? And early in the season, we had a really high amount of just some unforced errors. Maybe alignment issues, maybe it was a special team play, and then we turned the ball over a decent amount, and we just weren't, putting our best foot forward, weeks 2, 3, and 4, and granted, that's part of that's due to the really good, teams that we were playing, but still, I think we've cleaned up a lot of that, was able to get their attention on hey, when you're playing in our conference against playoff teams week in and week out. It may come down to just a couple possessions, and if we are misaligned or we have an MA or a holding penalty or whatever it may be, that can derail you for a drive, and that can be a difference in a game.
Now, the 2 standouts in last week's win, Levi Davis had 3 rushing touchdowns, threw the ball pretty well as well. And then Trayton Schroeder had 2 interceptions, and he leads the team defensively with 6 picks this year. I mean, what have those guys meant to your team, kind of through those early struggles, but they've played really well. They've been constants for your football team, with Davis on the offensive end running and throwing the football, and then Schroeder just coming up with plays for you defensively. What have they meant to your football team through the first 7 weeks as you approach this final stretch?
Yeah, Trayton has the ability to judge a ball and go get a ball. We rarely, it's a rarity as to how good he can, just track a ball in the air. I mean, it's his ball when it's in the air. It's really incredible. So him and Will Musgrove were critical in this game, in the Kaufman game, because Kaufman's got a really good running attack. They got a very physical offensive line, and allowed us to kind of stack the box a little bit numbers wise and just say, hey, Will and Trayton, you guard the 2 split end receivers, the guys that can run, you're going to man up on those guys. And, they were able to do so. And they got challenged quite a few times, but, you challenge Trayton long enough deep, he's going to pick one because he can judge it so well. He's got 6 interceptions in 5 games played.
Yeah.
Because he missed 2 games, so it's just incredible. So obviously they're a big part of it. And then Levi, I think the light bulb has come on. Especially with his passing notoriety and how well he passed the ball maybe early in the season, and everybody knows that he can throw the football. We have some really good receivers at our disposal. Teams have just kind of dared us to run the football, and when you have even numbers in the box and then you add your quarterback, you're a +1. And I think he's really taken to that, and we've had a lot of success with him just kind of owning up and saying, okay, if you guys are going to drop 8, then I'm going to take advantage by running the football.
So how are you prepping for UA this week then, and Coach Justin Buttermore? Because both of you guys are 4-3. It's a huge game, and obviously, 5-3 looks a lot better than 4-4 as you approach these last couple weeks of the season. But they've lost 2 straight games, and UA lost to Liberty last week in overtime. Like, they're going to be playing probably with a little bit of desperation and trying to just get back in the win column and finish the season strong, and as you guys are as well. So what's prep like for them? Because they're an extremely talented football team, and they just haven't. The last couple of weeks just hasn't gone their way.
Right. No, they're so solid. And, Coach Buttermore is a fantastic football coach, and they have a great staff. And, the best thing about when you play them and you're preparing for them, you just understand they're not going to screw up. Talk about unforced errors and missed assignments. They're just a tough out because their kids are very disciplined, and they can execute, their schemes really well. So like playing them the last few years, I mean, that's one of the biggest constants is just they really don't beat themselves, and then you throw in the fact that they have some really good players. So it's no surprise that they've been pretty good football team.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate your time joining us today, and best of luck this Friday. We're going to be at the game watching. We're excited to watch, but you've been playing some great football right now, and looking forward to see you guys the rest of the year. But best of luck Friday, and thanks so much for the time today.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
So we talked about Trayton Schroeder already. 2 interceptions last week and leading the team with 6, and he's only played in 5 games this season. But how about Levi Davis? 11-14 and 146 passing yards. That's remarkably efficient for a sophomore quarterback playing in such a tough conference like the OCC. Then 15 rushes for 131 yards and 3 big rushing touchdowns in a 35-14 win versus Dublin Kaufman. And they have a high-powered offense, and Olentangy Orange was able to play really well against them, and that's I would say their best win of the year, and they're just on a roll and playing really well. But now if you take a look at the series overall between Upper Arlington and Olentangy Orange, Upper Arlington leads the series 4-1, and they've played the last 3 years consecutively, and there's a large gap between before then from when they last played. But if you look at the last 3 matchups, 2022 UA won 41-10. 2021 UA won 35-10, and then in 2020 Olentangy Orange won 31-14. And then that was the first year that head coach Justin Buttermore took over the Golden Bears. So this is going to be the 4th straight year that they've played. And I would say Olentangy Orange, they're just playing such good football right now. And UA is also playing some good football. They've just had some tough matchups, and they've played in some close games, and those games they just come down to a couple plays here and there. It is what it is. But I want to take you, before we wrap up tonight, I want to take you through our schedule coming up here this evening. We'll start in Central and Western Ohio. In some more OCC games, Columbus area games that we've got going on this evening. So Centerville is at Springfield, Dublin Kaufman at Hilliard-Davidson, Delaware Hayes at Dublin Scioto, Westerville Central at Gahanna, Zanesville at Granville, Hamilton Township, who we featured earlier in the show, at Liberty Union, and Northridge at Heath. On the other side here, Jonathan Alder at Kenton Ridge, New Albany at Westland, Hilliard Darby at Olentangy, Olentangy Liberty at Hilliard Bradley, and Olentangy Orange Upper Arlington tonight, the game that we're at. So And all the schools that you see highlighted in blue are schools that we cover. Those are the games that we're going to be at this evening. So you make sure you follow us on the socials for live updates during all the games this evening. Let's also take you through games on the other side as well. And by the other side, I mean eastern and northeastern Ohio. So we have Tuscaroras Valley at Garraway, Ridgewood at Indian Valley, Talmadge at Cuyahoga Falls, Cambridge at Warren, Union Local in St. Clairsville, Riverview travels to John Glenn, Maysville and Sheridan. Sheridan's undefeated, playing just absolutely outstanding football. New Lexington at Meadowbrook, Philo, Tri-Valley, West Muskingum at Morgan, and then Akron East at Butchtool. So a lot of great matchups, in that area as well this evening. So make sure you follow us on Twitter so that way you can get some live updates throughout the night tonight. Just for the games that you're interested in following. I'm going to be giving you live updates and hopefully a few highlights here and there on Twitter of UA and Olentangy Orange. So make sure you're following along throughout the night. Just also for some other games going on in the OCC, Columbus area, Southeast Ohio, everything that we got going on. So make sure you check us out. Do want to thank our sponsors one final time. Max Effort Muscle, best tasting protein in the game, man. I say it every week, and I mean it. They've just got such good stuff. I take a lot of their supplements as well. I got a shirt that they're just great. I love the fitness content that they put out as well. So make sure you go check them out on Instagram. They're so good at what they do, and we really appreciate their support week in, week out. We got more T-shirts to give away this evening to the Upper Arlington student section. Every school that hosts us for Stadium Drive, we like to thank them by giving them some T-shirts, and Max Effort was so nice they've given us shirts every week, the last handful of weeks, to give out to these student sections and cheerleaders as well. So we really appreciate it. But super fired up for Week 8, man. Olentangy Orange and Upper Arlington, both teams 4-3, and it doesn't get there's the urgency right now, in the OCC and with these two teams, it doesn't get any better than this. And the atmosphere here tonight is pretty incredible. You can probably tell it's pretty loud around me. I feel like at times I can barely hear my own voice as I'm talking to you. But the atmosphere here is just incredible, and we really appreciate you joining us here on Stadium Drive on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. And so make sure you share the show each and every week. We try to promote it as much as we can. We love doing these interviews with these coaches. I love talking with the coaches every week. It's super fun. And it highlights these coaches' careers. These coaches have a chance to highlight their kids and their football teams. And we love promoting it and hyping up these games that we cover here at Storied Rivals. So make sure you give our show a share. We really appreciate it. But enjoy all the games tonight. Make sure you follow us on the socials for updates on the games that you're looking to follow. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Stadium Drive Week 9 is next week. We're almost 2 weeks away until the end of the regular season and playoff football, baby. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks to Aaron Sprack for joining me at the top of the show as well. But I'm Will Ford signing off for now here on Stadium Drive Week 8, and we'll see you in Week 9.